Just 1 week to the Iowa caucuses. The latest polling shows Donald Trump 11 points plus in just the last 2 weeks. Up on Ted Cruz, surging in Iowa. He's hoping, Ted Cruz, that a big endorsement he just got from a major conservative can help him regain traction. That major conservative, Glenn Beck, joins us now. You know him, nationally syndicated conservative radio host, founder of The Blaze, officially endorsed Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas and Iowa, this weekend. Glenn, good to see you as always.
Thank you. This is the first time in almost 40 years of broadcast I've ever been willing to put my name on any weasel in Washington, because I don't like really any politician. But this is the first time that I've done that because I believe that Ted Cruz is who he says he is. And I've watched him over the last couple of years. I'm sorry, Chris. I've watched him over the last couple of years, and I have seen that he does exactly what he says he's going to do.
No, I'm with you. I've got the same thing in my throat right now. If you were here, I'd give you a Ricola, but I can't throw it through the screen. No, not at all, not at all. So there was a big moment yesterday that I think kind of crystallizes where your head and your heart is on this. Let's play the video of Glenn administering the oath of office to Senator Cruz. Obviously a metaphor moment for you. What makes you so sure that Ted Cruz is the right guy for the GOP and that Donald Trump is so wrong? I mean, you have gone out of your way to say it's not just that I'm pro-Cruz, I am decidedly anti-Trump. Why?
Well, there's two things here. First of all, I wasn't administering. I was asking him, what is the oath of office? And the oath of office is to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that's why I am for Ted Cruz. He is a constitutionalist. At 13 years old, he had memorized the Constitution and was going around the state doing this amazing memory thing on the Constitution. He was raised by a father who escaped from Cuba, actually fought for Fidel, came to America, realized the difference, became an American citizen, raised Ted on the Constitution, and so it's in his bones. And what I've warned about for so long, you know, people only focused when I was at Fox, they only focused on what I was saying about Barack Obama. But when I was at CNN, I was saying much of the same stuff about George W. Bush, and nobody paid attention. And when I was at Fox, I warned, look, Democrats, please understand, if you let the balance of power go out of whack, the next guy who could get in could be calling himself a Republican, and he will either take that same power and either use it at the same level or expand it. And that's a very bad thing. We need a constitutional restraint on the executive branch. And Donald Trump, I really truly believe, is a very dangerous man. If you listen to, Chris, some of the things he said this weekend.
Dangerous why? Obviously.
I could go on Fifth Avenue and I could shoot people and I wouldn't lose a single vote. He's joked about killing reporters like Putin. Actually, he's joked about not killing reporters like Putin does. He's a very dangerous man.
He says he's joking. He put out a tweet this weekend about you. You know what happens when you go at Trump. He is not one to take a punch passively. You obviously don't care about that, but in terms of, you know, here he is. He's a sad answer to the Sarah Palin endorsement. You know, it's the best Cruz could do. Glenn is a failing, crying loss. So I know you well enough to know that the personal attack isn't going to bother you, but do you think that you may be mistaking the mood of the country? Because obviously that is seen as the fuel of Trump's success thus far.
Oh, Chris, no, I'm not here to talk to you about the mood of the country. I'm here to talk to you about the Constitution and what I believe is an absolute right or wrong. We don't change with the mood of the country. That's the problem with our country right now. The Constitution is to anchor us in principles that help temper the mood of the country. The mood of the country is very angry, but you never make a good decision when you're angry. The worst thing we can do is to now start looking at, well, who's going to get revenge? One of the things that Donald Trump does, and look, you want to take a shot at me, I mean, look at me, Chris. You can there's lots of jokes to be made. So it doesn't bother me. But when you have a guy who is angry and then has an enemies list and starts just to take people down over and over and over again, if you disagree with him, he destroys you. If that's the mood of the country, then we're in more trouble than I thought.
Well, but here's the thing: is there a little bit of reap what you sow in some of this for the GOP, that engendering an oppositional mode towards government, in ratcheting up negativity as a mainline discourse, you wound up somewhat birthing Donald Trump, and now some of those people who were angry about what was going on and telling people to be angry, now they've got somebody who's harnessing the power of exactly that, and you're disappointed.
Well, I'm not disappointed. I've warned against this. I mean, you go back on my shows on Fox, and I warned the progressive movement, and that's what this is. Donald Trump is a progressive, make no mistake. He believes in the power of the pen. I don't. Those who stood for the Tea Party and actually really believed in it were standing for constitutional principles. Now, are there those in the Republican Party that believe in the executive power more than the constitutional power? Yes. The Progressive Party was started by Theodore Roosevelt. He was started by a Republican. So this idea of an ever-expanding power inside the presidency is something that both parties have. It's why, Donald Trump said that I would vote for Bernie Sanders over Donald Trump. Absolutely not what I said.
Right.
Here's what I did say this weekend.
What did you say?
I said that Bernie Sanders is at least honest about who he is. And I've said this for years. I actually have respect for Bernie Sanders because he's not afraid to say, I'm a socialist and I think we should be more like Denmark. Now, I disagree with that, vehemently disagree with that, but I respect Bernie Sanders for having the guts to tell the truth. So I really, truly believe where America really is not with Hillary Clinton and the soft, I don't even know what she is, not with the anger of Donald Trump. What the real question that is before America is this: do we believe in socialism or constitutionalism? Those should be the two candidates in the United States of America, and let the people decide. Are we going socialist or back to the Constitution? That's a fair and honest debate.
Right, and everybody's going to have to make the decision as they believe. Are you bothered at all by Senator Cruz's movements on some key issues, that he has migrated, excuse the pun, but on immigration, that he has moved from one stance to another? As you know, the governor of Iowa criticized him for doing the same. Where ethanol, the subsidies, the senator says he's been straight on ethanol subsidies all along?
He has absolutely been straight on ethanol. I mean, I've heard him about a year ago say to the people in Iowa, I am not for ethanol subsidies. The reason why the governor of Iowa doesn't like him is because he's not for ethanol subsidies. I think that takes great courage. What people in Iowa need to understand is that one of the things that would be on the top of Ted Cruz's list to take care of would be to put the power of the EPA back into check. And for farmers, the biggest problem for farmers is the EPA. So while the government may not be giving you free money, at least it puts the government back in check, where you can actually have your kids help you on the farmland and have some sensible regulation. When it comes to the border, I'm not sure where you see him migrating. I've not seen Ted Cruz change his position on anything.
Well, but over time, what he said on immigration early on has been different than as he's made his way through this process and starting a little bit before of it. I mean, you've heard it in the debates as well. I'm not here to criticize Senator Cruz, but I'm saying you certainly have heard that this is a concern.
No, what I've heard in the debate is others making those charges, but I've not heard anything that is actually real on that, Chris. If you could give me something that's factually based, and then I could argue that. But the idea that he's changed without telling me, because I haven't seen it at all. I've heard Marco Rubio, who has changed his position. He has made the case that, okay, well, yes, I was for the Gang of Eight, now I'm not. Ted Cruz has not made those changes that I'm aware of. And I don't mean to be argumentative with you. I just don't know what you're talking about.
No, listen, it's always a good discussion to have, right? We need more of this, not less. You need more people comparing ideas, not less. But I think the point of contrast would be, not to belabor it, is that Senator Rubio says, look, I'm trying to do something to get it done. We're not going to do comprehensive immigration reform. So you can say you cling to that all you want and say it's because of the Constitution, but you're not going to get anything done. I want progress on this issue. That's the difference between me and Cruz. Is that a fair comparison?
No, and I will tell you this, and that's a really good point. There's a difference between progress and honest progress. What Ted Cruz is for is, and this is what I'm for, like with Bernie Sanders, tell me what you're really for. Let's not build these bills that, like the Patriot Act. You're not a patriot if you don't vote for the Patriot Act. That's ridiculous. Tell me what's really in the bill, what you're really going for, and let's have an honest conversation. Too many times in these bills, with Marco Rubio in the case here on immigration, it's not an honest bill. Let's be honest about it, and then we can have that debate.
So when you look at this going forward, there's nobody but Senator Cruz on the GOP slate right now that you believe could fit the bill.
Oh, no. I think that there, if it comes down to other people, there are other people that I could consider. I like Rand Paul, but Rand Paul I don't think has a chance of winning. I like Ben Carson, but I think he's underprepared for it. I like Marco Rubio, but I think he's too big of a government guy. He agrees with the NSA spying. I find that reprehensible on the Constitution. We've had many conversations with that. So there are other people that I could consider, but Ted Cruz is the most qualified. I really, truly believe, Chris, he was raised for this moment.
I hear you, and I see you living your conviction on that. It certainly caused a little bit of controversy with Trump, but that's not new. Let's see how it turns out here in Iowa. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you as we move from one major forum to the next. Appreciate you being on New Day, Glenn.
Thanks a lot. You bet.